Hello and welcome to the Empower Couples podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Jocelyn Freeman, but you all just know us as the Freemans.
And this episode is about 3 things women are being challenged by in marriage right now.
So last week was about what men were reporting. This week is women. And of course, are these interchangeable? Absolutely. You know, men could be feeling what women are feeling, women could be feeling what men are feeling, right? But this just happens to be expressed on our sessions by men and women respectively, right? So our goal is the same as it was last week. And that is that you can listen to these and number one, not feel alone if it's one that you resonate with and be like, oh, I thought it was just me and I thought that meant something was wrong with us. And so when you hear, oh, other people are dealing with this or they've said the same thing, okay, maybe it's not as personal as I thought. Also, we hope that it gives you language. Maybe you haven't been able to express this to your partner. You haven't really known exactly what you're feeling. So maybe when you hear one of these, you'll be like, aha, that's it. I haven't been able to pinpoint it or say it, but that is what it is.
Well, and the other part of that is you might have tried to start to express it. And this is a reminder from last week as well. You can't get into a comparison place here. So maybe you have tried to express this and then your partner comes back with, oh yeah, but do you know what I've been doing? Or that doesn't make sense because I've been feeling this way myself. So you can initially get into this back and forth, almost a comparison or a one-upsmanship or an invalidating of how each other's are feeling. So that's what we need to just put out there and say, you're going to have to really just listen to your partner and just get it. Yeah, I hear this is how you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that is a lesson in of itself, right? Is like to just embrace what they're feeling without taking it personally. I think we can use a reminder anytime for that. We're going to jump right into these, okay? So the first thing that women have been expressing, and again, we just get insider information on our coaching sessions and the fact that we talk to couples all day long. Now, the first one, and that is that they feel like they're met with a dismissive or defensive response when they share themselves. And that could be expressing a feeling, a need, a fear, a frustration, and the key word being dismissive. It's been really interesting on our sessions where, you know, we take them through different exercises, and that same word has been used multiple times by women recently, is like, I feel like you dismiss me. And for them, it feels like the ultimate slap in the face, is like, here I am trying to open up to you all the things that I do, who I am for you, and yet you just dismiss my feelings. And I can relate to this one, right? Like this is one I've expressed to you before, to be honest, right? And it feels really hard to feel like you're just being brushed aside. And so again, this isn't like, we're not saying you need to fix this somehow. Like it's just about recognizing this and being able to express it to your partner. But this is a big thing that we're hearing from women. Anything you'd add?
Well, so what does that sound like? I mean, what would one partner be saying or doing that would have women feel this dismissed?
I think sometimes, so and this is kind of a generalization, but when women are feeling something, we can really be wrapped up in it, right? Like we're feeling it, we're thinking about it. We aren't as good for the most part at compartmentalizing. And so when we go to express it, if they happen to be with a male partner, so again, we're creating a generalization here, the partner can come back with, okay, got it, let's move on. Just kind of like it's an energy. They might say it in different ways, but it's an energy of, I'm not going to pause and take the time to really embrace what you're saying. I'm too busy for this, or that doesn't make sense to me, so I'm just going to kind of move on. It's very much like I don't have time for this kind of energy. Do you know what I mean? Like any specifics you would add to it?
I think this was one because there was an example for you that you were probably more just closely related to feelings.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have you reflect, what do the actions actually look like from, in this case, me?
Yes. It's very much like just what I said. It's like I don't agree or I don't see that being valid, so I'm just going to move on. And yeah, just not like pausing and really embracing and saying, oh, so sorry for that. Or, hey, I totally hear you. It's just like moving on,
Hmm. Yeah, I think from you sharing that, I have seen and I should say heard actually, that one partner, in this case, a female, will share that. And what's interesting is the male will say back, and it's so interesting because if I do it myself, I just really need to stop doing this. But it almost makes it your fault.
Like deflecting it back.
Well, kind of, but it's like, well, you do this. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So you'll be sharing about how you've been impacted, and I feel a little bit disrespected, or I feel kind of brushed to the side. And then the response would be, well, yeah, because you blank.
Oh, that's so true. That's exactly it. Yes, you hit it.
Yeah, well, if you just brought it up better.
Yes. Yeah, well,
So it's like that, I think.
It's because you didn't say it in this format.
Yeah.
That's why I responded this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that hurts. So I'm sure a few women out there are like, yeah, I can relate to this one, right? So the second one is feeling a lack of fairness in responsibilities. Now, I know last week when we talked about the men and what they were expressing, there was one that sounded kind of similar, right? Which is feeling like there's not as much recognition for what they, or for who they are, not just what they do. This is a little bit different in terms of what we've been hearing from women. Similar thread, but just said in a way that feels slightly a different tone, which is, I just feel like it's not fair and that I have to tell you what to do.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like you aren't seeing everything that it takes to upkeep a home and the kids and what we have to do and kind of anticipating what needs to be done. I have to list out the things for you, which feels like even more draining for women because of, if you've all heard the term mental load, right? It's like where our brain is always going and it's thinking about, oh, we need this in
Or
stock.
like decision fatigue?
Both of those, absolutely. And so it's like, okay, not only do I feel like it's not fair, the things like that I'm doing versus you're doing, but also I feel like I have to instruct you. And so now I'm like have to be a manager or a mom. And that doesn't feel very sexy.
Well, a mom to your partner, right?
Right, exactly.
You might be a mom to your kids.
No.
You don't want to be a mom to your partner.
No, that doesn't create a lot of sex appeal.
Well, I have a question about the fairness. So what do you mean in particular about fairness?
I think it's definitely feeling as like there's an imbalance because I think women are really...
What imbalance of what?
Oh, of who's doing what, like the household responsibilities, kids, bills, cleaning, errands, making sure things are in stock, planning things for the weekend, like all the responsibilities. Now, whether that's true or not, we're not saying that, right? Like, because men would probably argue back, oh, really? But you don't see all these other things I do. So we're not saying whether
there's
it's...
a little hook, right? That's where you can't listen for the comparison or to share, oh, well, but I do this.
Exactly. So it's really, you're going to waste a lot of energy if you start trying to list out the things and compare to each other. Now, if you want to listen to an episode that we have on like how to make it easier, we do have an episode specifically on how we never argue about household things. But I think the key frustration, even more than the fairness, is I have to tell you what to do. Like you're not anticipating it. And that's like coming from them, right? So it's like, man, why do you put me in this position to be your mom, to be your manager? You know, why can't you help me lift the load here by you anticipating it?
Yeah, if I could add one thing from the male side in this case, because I do hear this part quite a bit. And we don't want this to get confused where you have the expectation that your partner anticipates something that you need, but you haven't expressed it.
Right.
Or maybe you've only expressed it once. So that's where the agreements come in place, but just to keep on looking at, well, what's my expectation? What's my need, desire here? And first, am I expressing it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Maybe we have to do more research or more talking to more couples, but I'm not sure that for this is to the women, that you'll ever get your male partner to be in the place of thoughtfulness and to be in a place where we just anticipate all your future needs.
We had it,
and maybe not even all. I'm just saying it's a slightly just really out there expectation that I'm not sure is ever going to get fulfilled.
So I know this could spark some arguments here right now, okay? Because some people are listening to this going, no, they should be able to, like, if they were, just putting the intention out there to be more thoughtful. You and I did have actually kind of a little bit of a disagreement on this topic a few weeks ago, because we were just talking about how there were certain things I was needing because I'm, breastfeeding Sky and I'm holding her like almost every hour of the day, except for when we have people come help a little bit. And so we were having this conversation about like, hey, I kind of said, can't you anticipate what needs to be, done here? Like, can't you anticipate that I need my water refilled? And can't you anticipate that I need my vitamins? And can't you anticipate that I'm ready for lunch, right? And yes, I was coming from a place of like me feeling so tired. And you kind of came back with, well, that's not fair to expect me to anticipate that. And so I don't think it's like there's a universal truth about that a partner can never, and you should never expect your partner to anticipate it.
Yeah. And I think for me, so where the line is drawn is, has it been expressed? Mm-hmm. So when you tell me specifically, hey, I'm going to need my water to be continuously refilled. Mm-hmm. And so if you can check when it's low, or every time you make my breakfast, which I am every day now, also put my vitamins down on the plate. So that to me is just the place to start. We don't need to all get into a discussion on the level of thoughtfulness and the anticipation of males. Let's start with it being expressed, mm-hmm. and it being expressed that that's something that you're consistently looking for. And then us men, let us do a better job, right? Men, let's put a reminder in the calendar. I use this app called Todoist. Let's just make sure we are remembering the things that our partners have expressed.
I love that.
And that's where the thoughtfulness and the anticipation can come in. Because now, if your water is low, and I can still probably do better. If it is low, and I was doing way better in the first couple of weeks, I will admit, I think I let it slip like, is it every day? Is it like 10 times a day? And I have to fill this water every day for the rest of my life. And it's a big glass.
It's huge.
Anyway, expression, and then men take on like, okay, if your partner has said it, this is where you can anticipate now ahead of time when they've actually requested.
Yeah. So I think
let's just see where we get.
Yeah, it's meeting in the middle. I like that. Okay. So that's the second one. Third one, right? So the third thing that women are being challenged by in marriage is a fear that things are going to really stay the same, or that they won't change because of a lack of follow through. And I think for this one, the big frustration is, okay, fine, you kind of do what I say and you change for a week, then you're back to your old pattern. Right. And we've talked
kind of linked to the one before too, actually.
Well, and we've talked on different episodes about compliance versus commitment. So we won't go into that too deep here, but I think that's a big thing for women is I don't want to have to keep like reminding you of this change I'm hoping for, right? So like even the first one around being dismissive or defensive, right? That being a challenge. So let's say I express that to you, Aaron, and I said, hey, like I really feel like I'm getting some dismissive responses from you. What I really would love more of is for you to, listen to me, to understand and just kind of take it in and embrace it before you kind of brush me off, or what feels like brushing me off. And then you're like, okay, you're right. I could work on that. You say all that. But then next week, kind of same thing. And I have to like remind you again, like, where's the follow through? And I think I think a big thing women don't want to be a manager or be the mom, like of the partner. I think that's almost like a theme I'm noticing of all three of these is like, please don't put me in a position of having to manage you. You know what I mean? Anything you would add from what you hear about this like fear that things aren't going to really change or won't last, like the change won't last?
There's a lot of pieces to that. I'm just really trying to think of what is the thing for us men to do besides what we already shared. I mean, because there's a theme or a thread of the compliance. So even though you weren't going to bring that up, I just think it's important to get for us men. I mean, when we say we're going to do something, we have to commit. We have to be aligned with it. And not just to say that I'll do something if you don't already have in place the the mental capacity, the fortitude, the structure to actually make that happen. So don't just say yes to things and really check it out. So I guess the first piece is you don't have to be so quick to get past what might seem like a challenging conversation. And, maybe you say, yeah, I hear you, and I do want to make some changes so that you can experience more freedom, more respect, more ease. So let me just take a day or so and let me take a look at what that would take for me to do that.
Yeah, putting some thoughtfulness into this. And it's interesting because we said on the episode about what men are expressing too, that they're really wanting to also see this like agreements kept, right? Like that we're also keeping to our promises. So both partners want it. And that's why we did an episode a while back on like reliability. That's another big theme. It doesn't matter male, females. Like we want to feel like we both are following through. We're keeping our promises. We don't have to constantly remind each other of things like self-responsibility,
We'll go into a personal development principle then. I think to add in there for the men, if you're thinking about it and you're contemplating on it and you're looking at how to make that change, and this did come up in some of the sessions, but then you get to the place where you realize either you can't do that or you need to make a modification. We need to communicate about that change or what we see we're going to do differently. Does that make sense? Because the example was I was talking to a couple and then I got on a single call with the male. And he had said he was going to talk with the mother of one of the other children because it's a blended family. And she had asked, hey, I'm really looking for some changes in the amount of time and how we get your blended family daughter to school and whatnot. Can you talk to the mother? He was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then that went on for a couple of weeks. In his own mind, he realized that something had changed and it wasn't going to work. But he never communicated that.
He didn't like give an update. Like,
yeah, exactly. An update.
Like, I know I had promised this thing, but now I have new information and I'm not going to actually do that.
Yeah. And I see that as a common thing. It's like for us men, we saw it through to what was being requested, and then we got to a place where something needed to be modified. And in our own minds, it's like, oh, I followed through on that, and now here's a different path. You have to circle back and say what has changed or make a new request.
Yep.
Some sort of kind of negotiation or give an update. I like how you said that. Otherwise, what happens, I think that went for a couple of weeks, and then it was a blindside. What do you mean you didn't follow through on that?
Right. Yes.
And then it's sort of worse when, since we're talking about the female side, when the female finds out that didn't get carried out when it was said it was going to, now the trust breaks down a little bit further. Like, were you hiding something? And it just gets a little bit more mucky. Yeah.
And again, just kind of looking at some themes and parallels to the episodes for both men and women is we want to feel like each partner is count-onable. It's count-onable. And I know there's this also theme of like fairness or being recognized for what you do. I think it's like that theme is appreciation. We want to feel appreciated. So we want to feel like our partner is count-onable. We want to feel like they appreciate us and they want to feel like they respect us.
Yes, seen and respected for the person we are and not just the things we do.
Yes. So, doesn't matter, male, female, really. It might sound different, a little bit expressed from men and women. But again, the reason we wanted to do these 2 episodes is that you can know you're not alone. You have language to express something that maybe you haven't been able to put your finger on, and that you two can listen to each other. So if you resonated with any of these, then make sure you're listening to each other and saying, again, hey, totally get it. I completely can imagine what it'd be like to feel like that. Tell me more. I want to understand you. Give each other the space to just vent sometimes. You and I did that the other day on a walk, and we kind of started laughing at the end because we both were just like, blah, here's how I'm feeling. And
we'll do another episode on how to actually allow your partner to vent, I think.
Yeah, ooh,
I think that'll
like
be a good
that. One. Ooh, a good episode. How to let your partner vent. I like that. Okay.
Because without it being set up, it doesn't work well.
Right. Yes. So with that said, couple things here before you close out. One, we had announced the giveaway that we're doing last week on last week's episode, but we want to continue it. So we're going to pick a winner, if you participate, to write a review for our book, The Argument Hangover, on Amazon. How long does that take you? It doesn't take you long at all, but yet it helps us so much. And if you take away value from the podcast, it's a way to kind of give back to us. So of course, we'd want you to have read at least a chapter, if not the whole book. And so go to Amazon, order The Argument Hangover if you haven't yet. And then if you have, please just take a second to write a review. And we will pick a winner, probably even maybe two, I'll put it out there, maybe two, to pick from one of our courses that ranges anywhere from $100 to $300. So that's pretty awesome. And we'll announce the winner on Instagram, so stay tuned. That would mean so much. And then also, if you're really wanting to work through conflict repair in better ways and you haven't watched our free web class on the 5 steps to repair after an argument, make sure you go do that at onlinecouplesworkshops.com/repair. So that's all for today. We love you all and can't wait to talk to you on the next episode.